Chuck Woolery with the World Federalist Association. We still believe that nation states can protect us as individuals. That it appears after 9/11 that no matter how big a military you have, if someone wants to get to you, they're going to get to you. And with biological weapons being the flip side of nuclear threats, that they're increasingly so. When you look at the threats that we face now, they're not so much from nation states. They're environmental threats. I would say infectious diseases are a very significant threat, international crime, other forms of threats that we face as individuals and not so much as nations. Wanted to get your perspective on the thesis that Robert Wendell, the recent recipient of the Nobel Prize in Economics, put out regarding the three ideas of free-flowing currency, currency stability, and independent currency policy. He basically said you can't have all three of those at the same time: freedom, security, and independence. The nation-state system is built on the idea of independence. Yet it seems like if we insist on that, we're going to have to give up our freedom or our security in any of these many different areas that I just talked about. Respond to that.
That's an excellent question, and I wish I had an hour to respond to it, but let me give you sort of the brief answer. First of all, I think that the nation state is not perfect when it comes to protecting the members of that state, but I think it does a very good job. And I think if you're interested in surviving as a people in the world today, there's simply no substitute for having your own state. And I think the best example to highlight is the Arab-Israeli conflict. The Palestinians desperately want their own state, and they want a viable state, and they want a powerful state, because they've come to recognize that the only way they're ever going to live a decent life is to have a meaningful state. The Jews, on the other hand, learned the hard lesson over the years that if you don't have your own state, you die in large numbers at the hands of those who do have states. And therefore they created this ideology called Zionism, and then they marched into the Middle East and they carved out a state. And although they don't have perfect security today, I would argue that they're a heck of a lot better off in terms of survival today than they were when they were living in Europe in the 19th and early 20th century. So I think there's just no substitute for having your own state for surviving in this world. The question of whether or not freedom and security don't go along with independence, and you defined independence as having a sovereign state, I really don't buy that. I don't think that the nation state is the end-all and be-all, and I'm not terribly happy about the world that we live in, but given that I'm a realist with both a capital R and a little r, you make do with what you have. And I think that the state, if it's put together properly and if it acts intelligently, can go a long way towards providing security for its people and providing freedom for its people. And I don't mean to be overly chauvinistic in talking about the United States in favorable terms, but I do think that the United States, which is a powerful nation state, does a pretty darn good job of providing for our security and providing for our freedom. This is not to say for one second that there aren't threats out there that we from time to time can't deal with, September 11th being a perfect case in point. But I think all things considered, it's not a bad deal.